After decades of waiting, karate finally entered the Olympic Games. And just like that, it was gone. One appearance in Tokyo 2021 and excluded from Paris 2024. What happened? Was it a dream come true or a bitter mistake? Before we begin, if you care about real martial arts, their history, their values, their future, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We're building a place where truth matters more than spectacle, and where the spirit of Budo still breathes. Let's uncover the truth behind Olympic karate and what it means for all of us who call the dojo home. Karate's Olympic dream began over 50 years ago. While judo made its debut in 1964 and taekwondo in 2000, karate remained on the sidelines. Why? Division, politics, ego. Unlike judo or taekwondo, karate had multiple federations, rule sets, and conflicting visions. From Shotokan to Goju Ryu, from Shito Ryu to Wado Ryu, everyone claimed authenticity, and no one yielded ground. The World Karate Federation eventually emerged as the most organized body, but by then taekwondo had already secured its spot. Karate watched from the shadows until 2021, when Japan, as host, pushed karate into the Olympic spotlight. A one-time opportunity finally realized. The Olympic format featured two disciplines, kumite and kata. Kumite, point-based sparring under WKF rules, controlled contact, precise scoring, referees with flags and commands. To the casual eye, fast but often confusing. And kata, performed solo, judged on form, power, timing, and rhythm. Beautiful, yes, but subjective, and to some, theatrical. The event that shocked the world was the men's plus 75-kilogram kumite final. Tarek Hamedi delivered a stunning knockout and was disqualified. The unconscious fighter, Ganzade, took the gold. For many, that moment said everything. Karate, in its Olympic form, punished real fighting and rewarded compliance. Across the globe, traditionalists were horrified. Karate to them is not about points. It's about discipline, timing, internal strength, and respect. The styles that built karate. Shotokan, linear, powerful, deeply rooted in Zen philosophy. Goju Ryu, circular motion, breathing, tension, softness, and hardness. Wado Ryu, fluidity, evasion, almost Aikido-like flow. Shito Ryu, a blend, vast in kata, technical and detailed. Kyokushin, full contact, no pads, pain as a teacher. None of these were truly represented. What we saw was WKF's version. Politically streamlined, media polished, detached from dojo reality. Karateka, who trained bare-knuckle full contact for years, watched athletes flicking point-scoring kicks and bouncing on mats. This wasn't evolution. This was performance over principle. In August 2021, karate stood under the Olympic spotlight for the first time in history. And for a brief moment, it felt like justice, like recognition, like the world had finally seen what we always knew, that karate deserved a place among the greatest sporting disciplines. But less than a year later, the verdict came. Karate would not return for the Paris 2024 Olympics. To many, it felt like a punch to the gut. After all the effort, all the waiting, all the celebration, the dream was over. Just like that. The official reason given by the IOC was simple. The host nation, France, had limited slots and chose other sports, including breakdancing. A decision based, they said, on diversity, youth appeal, and audience engagement. But let's not kid ourselves. The deeper reasons run beneath the surface, and they're not just about breakdancing. They're about perception, about presentation, and about karate's own identity crisis. Despite being one of the oldest and most practiced martial arts in the world, karate's Olympic debut failed to capture the global imagination. Why? Because the product that was presented, point sparring, kumite, and solo kata demonstrations, didn't translate well to modern viewers. To someone unfamiliar with the art, it looked abstract, complex, maybe even confusing. A punch that lands doesn't always score. A fighter can be knocked out and still win gold. Judging feels subjective. Movement patterns are repetitive. There's no drama, no highlight moment. When judo throws or taekwondo spinning kicks appear on screen, even non-practitioners understand the impact. When a boxer lands a clean hook, the crowd roars. But in Olympic karate, the crowd hesitated because they didn't understand what they were watching. And it wasn't just the public. Even many karatekas, seasoned practitioners, watched in disbelief. What was presented in Tokyo wasn't the karate they trained their whole lives. It was a distilled version, a safe version, a television version, one where spirit had been replaced with precision and danger replaced with decorum. The WKF had tried to polish karate for Olympic appeal, but in doing so, it stripped it of its edge. Yes, there were flashes of brilliance. Yes, the athletes were skilled, but to the casual eye, it lacked intensity. It lacked emotional stakes. It lacked consequence, and the IOC noticed. Behind the scenes, the lack of unity within karate's leadership also played a role. Politics, rivalries, competing organizations, even within the WKF, regional favoritism, disputes over judging and bureaucracy created internal tension. Karate didn't show up to the Olympics as a single, proud, unstoppable force. It showed up divided, hesitant, unsure of its image. The Olympic Games demand clarity. They demand drama. They demand stories. Karate, tragically, offered confusion, division, and a rule book. The IOC doesn't reward tradition. It rewards entertainment. And in a world driven by viral clips, short attention spans, and commercial interests, karate didn't deliver. So, the games moved on, to breakdancing, to sport climbing, to skateboarding, to things that moved faster, looked cooler, or simply had better PR. It wasn't fair, but it was real. Karate wasn't dropped because it failed. It was dropped because it didn't fit, because it tried so hard to become something else that it forgot to be what it truly is. And in that loss, a truth emerged. Karate doesn't need the Olympics. The Olympics needed karate, as it once was. The fallout forced a question. What is karate today? A sport? A show? A philosophy? A method of war? Olympic failure became a mirror. Some chose to double down on sport karate, but others returned to roots, to Kihon, kata with bunkai, kumite with intent, dojo discipline, spirit training. Karate combat emerged as a new platform, fusing spectacle with full-contact realism. And beyond the spotlight, small dojos reignited the old flame. The flame of Okinawa, of Funakoshi, of Masa Oyama, who said, "One becomes a beginner after 1,000 days of training and an expert after 10,000 days of practice." Perhaps Olympic failure wasn't an ending. Perhaps it was a correction. Karate doesn't need judges. It needs purpose. It doesn't need point systems. It needs spirit. It doesn't need a podium. It needs the dojo and the warrior's heart. The Olympics promised legitimacy, but for many, it delivered exposure at the cost of essence. When karate entered the games, it dressed in a new uniform, one tailored for cameras, sponsors, and sound bites. But in doing so, it left something behind, something ancient, something invisible, but felt in every true practitioner's gut. In the quiet halls of small dojos across the world, students bow to the showman. They repeat the same Kihon again and again. Their doggies soak with sweat. Their fists toughen with time. And their hearts begin to understand. Karate isn't about victory. It's about refinement, of body, of mind, of character. You don't need gold to know you've improved. You don't need applause to know you've endured. And you certainly don't need an Olympic moment to know that you are walking the path. Because the real medal is invisible, engraved not around your neck, but into your being, carved by effort, hardened by failure, polished by humility. Maybe karate was never meant to be a spectator sport. Maybe it was never meant for massive arenas, TV networks, or corporate branding. Maybe karate was always meant for the few who are willing to suffer in silence, to practice in obscurity, to endure discomfort without recognition, because they know that mastery isn't public. It's personal. So to you, whether you train in a corner of a community gym or on the hardwood floor of a garage, whether your belt is black or white or faded from years of effort, know this: you are the legacy. You are what remains when the lights go off, when the medals tarnish, when the games forget. You are karate. Not because you compete, but because you endure, because you grow, because you walk the path, even when no one is watching. And if this resonated with you, if somewhere deep inside you felt the fire rekindle, then this is your place. Here, we speak the language of Budo. Here, we remember. Subscribe to this channel, not because it's trendy, but because you know that truth still matters, that spirit still lives, and that somewhere, buried beneath the dust of showbiz and Olympic glitter, karate still breathes. We're just here to keep it alive. Os!